Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Racing Gaming League here on the PS4. It is time for round 4, and it brings us to the home of British motor racing, the Silverstone circuit, the British Grand Prix. My name is Austin Smith, and welcome to this event. We're going to have, as always, 18 minutes of qualifying followed by a race, 50% of the usual length, which around Silverstone will amount to 26 laps. One of the very important things to note about Silverstone circuit is that it has one of, if not the longest pit lanes on the calendar, meaning a one-stop strategy is pretty much the only way to get around here and get the win or get a really, really good result. And yeah, that's another thing of the British sort of climate and weather. It can rain, and it does rain quite often around here. Let's quickly do this. There we go. So only light rain. It's kind of in the middle, but the drivers have opted for intermediate tires for the most part. And we have some changes on the grid. I think we need to talk about that first. So let's talk first about the three drivers who aren't here. That is a Lego Minecraft, who is still second in the championship, sitting at 33 points. That Renault is missing. His teammate Kettles Dylan is here. Then we have, let me quickly try and go through this. One of the Alfa Romeos missing. ILRT Pat not able to make it tonight. And we do have both Haas. However, they're not Thyman and Samyabin, as you may think. Thyman is here, as you can see. He's ILRT Thyman now. He's sitting in the timing tower at P1. But Samyabin, at least for tonight, has been replaced by Fluffy Craze. He's currently in the pit lane, so we can't really show him too much. But we will show him over the course of this qualifying. And so he takes Samyabin's cockpit, at least for tonight. Then we've also got a not really a new Williams driver, but you may not know him as a Williams driver. You may know him better as the guy who runs the league, Daff Lawrence. He is in the Williams tonight for Scott Rennie, all the way down to P70. We can switch to him. We can show him. There he is, Daff Lawrence, all the way down to P17 right now. And we're not really sure whether that will improve or not, but yeah, he is going to jump in to make the grid a little bit more full. Then we have one of the McLarens missing. Vapor Trench is here, but Loney is not. So that's one car that's missing. And then we have a Red Bull missing as well. We have LR Blaze, who is filling the open spot now, but King Alex, his teammate, was not able to make it tonight, and that's pretty much the grid. We also had changes at Mercedes, where Pablo Joglar has left the league, and S24L, you can see him as Twitch S24L. We are going to refer to him as S24L going forward. He will fill that second spot next to Andres XD Loco. And we also have... Oh, no, we do have a second McLaren. I just realized we have Boss Alp in the McLaren. My bad. The question is, I don't know whether that's a one-time thing. I think it is. I think Boss Alp effectively is a reserve driver, and therefore he's in the McLaren tonight. So that's a one-time thing. Not a situation where... you know, he's going to remain in the McLaren over the course of the rest of the season. So those are the driver changes that we have gone through. So we are missing a Red Bull, a Renault, and a Alfa Romeo. There we go. Red Bull, Renault, Alfa Romeo. All three somewhere with an R. Red Bull, Renault, Romeo. Let's just go with that. Unfortunately, the racing points of Honey Badger and Vaporeon, they kind of break it. but kind of break that logic. But yeah, Silverstone, one of the few tracks that have survived all the calendar changes since 1950. One of the first races on the F1 calendar ever to happen. And there's a reason it's called the home of British motor racing, because it is just that traditional and that historic, as Kettles Dillon has been disqualified. What has he done? Blocking the pit lane. That is wild. And kind of surprising, because we can take a look at the pit lane. Let's go on board with Jay Clarkey. There's the pit lane on the right. It's hard to block that, really. We can take another look with let's go with one of the McLarens. I think we have Vapor Trench. And look at the right side. There's the pit lane entry. See? It's really hard to block that, to be honest. Because right here is already where the pit lane entry is. And I don't understand how Dillon was able to do that. Because it's just so much open space. But he got disqualified. Very unfortunate, very unlucky. And so he'll have to start from the very back of the grid. Meanwhile, we do have 16 more drivers. And Jay Clarkey is currently in provisional pole position in P1 with a 139.885. Another thing to be mentioned is that the lap around here is quite long. In fact, the dry weather real life lap record is held by Lewis Hamilton, set last year in 2019 with a 1 minute 27.369. That's in the race. In qualifying, that time obviously comes down a little bit into the 120 or near the 125s. And Fluffy, now the second driver to do that. What is happening? Oh, he blocked it on the exit. Oh, okay, that's a different story. But yeah, he's also disqualified. That's now a Haas and a Renault, both disqualified for blocking the pit lane. For him, it was the pit lane exit. I was wondering for a second, that didn't look like the pit lane entry. Yeah, because it was the pit lane exit, as we are looking at the racing point of TTG Honey Badger. So, wild. These rain conditions catching out a couple drivers, and some weird penalties, I have to say, but the drivers are aware that the game does hand out these kinds of penalties if you do block the pit lane on entry or exit. And yeah, Kettles Dillon does say in the chat that it was the exit for him as well. And Trench has now retired, and I think that's in the pit lane because I don't see him anywhere else. So that's the next guy. So we already have 3 drivers who have retired or been disqualified before setting a lap time. So Trench, Fluffy, and Kettles Dillon, all 3 are going to have to start from the very back of the grid. Let's hope no one else follows. We only have 7 drivers currently set a lap time. Oh, and thank you very much for reminding me, Daff Lawrence, that Trench, in fact, has a qualifying ban. So that's the reason why he retired. So no, it wasn't a crash. It wasn't anything out of the order. It was very deliberate because he had to. And if you're wondering, well, but Trench was out there on track. Yeah, the drivers are allowed to leave the pit lane so that their setup gets saved because they are parked firm. It rules as Honey Badger struggling at Andres. Meanwhile, in the Mercedes, going on to provisional pole. So, yeah, the drivers are allowed to leave the pit lane to log in their setup. Because if they don't, sometimes there can be issues, there can be glitches, there can be, sort of bugs that give the driver a different setup. But if they go out just for an outlap, not setting a lap time, just for an outlap, come back in, that allows them to log in their setup and it's there and it hopefully won't change. It's much less likely that there's some kind of setup glitch between qualifying and race. It does happen. I've heard about it, at least. Might be that in the meantime Codemasters have fixed that since. Not fully aware of that, but there has been certainly more common than not a glitch where if you don't log in a setup during qualifying, then at the beginning of the race there are some issues. So that's why drivers are allowed, even if they have a qualifying ban, to leave the pit lane, log in their setup, go back into the pit lane, obviously don't set a lap time, and then retire. So that's the format here. As Jake Clarkey beats out Andres for current best lap, current provisional pole position. We're getting into the 138s now, 138.7. And you can see also a lot of drivers, if you look at the tire situation, how long they are on these tires. Jay Clarkey, 3 laps. Honey Badger, 3 laps. Best Bob, 4 laps. A lot of drivers tend to do that on wet tires because, A, you only have 2 sets of them. You have 2 sets of the intermediates and 2 sets of the full wets. So you are very limited here in qualifying. And B, those tires don't really degrade as quickly, and they don't struggle as much with going for a couple of good laps. In fact, the intermediates and the full wets both really only get into shape a couple of laps into the stint. So early on, you do struggle a little bit, but as time goes on, as you rack up some laps, that's when they start to get into their best situation, and that's why you see some of the drivers here, Best Bob, Honey Badger, Clarkey, go on to a little bit of a longer stint there with the intermediate tires. As we see TTG Honey Badger here, he had a pretty good race last time out in Germany. 4th place in the end. Started P2, so obviously he was hoping for more. He was hoping for at least a podium close, but no cigar. He was 1.2 seconds away from the podium. Very, very close. But you can see really a trend upwards for him. Did not finish in Brazil. P5 in Belgium, and again he was 2/10 away, or not even 2/10 away from P4 in Belgium, but he was also 3.2 seconds away from the podium from his teammate Vaporeon, and then P4 now in Germany. So the trend is going upwards. The question is, can Honey Badger continue that trend? Can he finally get himself a podium? One other thing that I'm very surprised by is that our Dominator, the winner of all 3 races so far this season, Eiler T. Thomas, is currently down in P9. What is going on there? He dominated every single race. He won by 14.5 seconds in Brazil. He only won by 1.5 seconds in Belgium. And then he won again by 12 seconds in Germany. So he's really been dominant all around. 3 races, 3 pole positions, 3 wins, and I'm very surprised to see that there hasn't been much going for him right now, as we do see him try and set a better lap time. And it also, I feel like it needs to be said that he also got 2 of the 3 fastest laps, but here in the Racing Gaming League, there are no extra points for the fastest lap. Unlike real Formula 1 here, no extra points whatsoever for the fastest lap of the race. No matter whether you're in the top 10 or not, fastest lap point is not a thing around these parts. As Thomas comes down the hanger straight to tackle Stowe and then the Vale and the club section, Honey Badger goes fastest, 37.3. And has it stopped raining? No, there's still some rain coming down. It's better to see from the onboard. That's why I switched to it very quickly. Sorry for that. Thomas round the final corner. This might be a new provisional pole time, and it is 136.9. So he is, in fact, over 3.5 tenths, almost 4 tenths quicker than Honey Badger, and almost a second quicker than his ILRT teammate Thyman, who is obviously driving in the Hassia. So not his RGL teammate, only his ILRT clan org teammate, whatever you want to call that. But yeah, so you see the field spread is quite significant, courtesy of the rain, really. But ILRT Thomas so far looking good. Here comes Honey Badger. He's on another lap. Let's see, Sector 2 split is going to come after Chapel. Round Beckett's he goes through Chapel. And what do we have? Oh, he's on a slow one. Yep, 4.6. Yeah, he's not using any ERS either, so obviously that is a slow lap for him. Let's see, who else can we look at? Bus Alp. New driver. Haven't seen him since, or I haven't seen him yet, sorry. Wrong word there. Haven't seen him yet. Let's see what he can do in his debut here at the Racing Gaming League. P10, 141.8. And I think there's some room for improvement for him. Who else? Blaze remains in the pit lane still. That is interesting for sure. Vaporeon all the way down in P13. Duff Lawrence meanwhile retires with a 144.5, and there goes Vaporeon. Off he goes into the gravel trap and completely lost the car there. And that is turns 1 and 2. That is through farm, really. Turn 2 has to take a little bit of a shortcut here. But yeah, that's gonna hurt his chances. He's gonna have to take another slow lap. I think he was trying to go for a fast lap here, but that really didn't pan out. He does have enough time. If you look in the top left, 2 minutes and 15 left. We have a yellow flag Sector 2 that is already gone again. And I think that may have been for... Oh, that's a really good question. May have been for Bus Alp. I'm not sure, though. Could have been for one of the Ferraris as well. The other one's just coming out of... Oh, and there's Vaporeon into the wall and out! That's the old pit wall. That is the old pit wall out of Woodcote. And, yep, that is Vaporeon out of this session. He's going to start in P13, P14 if Blaze can muster up a lap better than 148.788. Which, to be fair, should be manageable. We have yellow flags everywhere now. That is for some cars going slow, but no one's off, I think. Sector 2 and 3. Now Sector 1 and 3. Yeah, I think that's drivers going into the pit lane. Drivers going slow to prepare for their lap. But you can see there on the minimap, the two Ferraris really close to each other with Delima Super and Jay Clarkey. They're starting their laps right now. Also, Bus Alp in the pit lane. That's his session over. He's not going to be able to make it in time out of the pit lane and start another lap with only 50 seconds left. Yellow flag Sector 3. Again, is someone just going slow to prepare for their lap? That might be ILRT Thyman, if I'm not mistaken, if I don't misjudge that color. As we have OTG come towards the line, we have, I think, Andres or no, I made the mistake. Andres or S24L coming towards the line. I think that was Andres. There goes OTG. And here comes Blaze. He's going to start his lap with about 15 seconds left, just in time to start one. That's not Thyman. Who else do we have there? We have Twitch. Yeah, S24L coming. Oh no, he started his lap. So Andres is the one coming across the line. No, hold on. It's really hard to judge these colors, but I think then it's Thomas who came across the line, and Best Bob as well. And Best Bob retires in P7. So now we have the Ferraris. Delima, struggling through Stowe. But more importantly, Jay Clarkey through the final corner. Here he comes. Can he improve? 136.9. That's the target. 137.1. So close. Improves by half a second, but it's not enough to beat Thomas, who is still sitting in P1. Who else do we have? Thyman is coming towards the hangar straight, so he will soon set a lap. We also have... Nope, not Andres. S24L. Let's go to him first. And then Thyman next. S24L through the final corner. What can he do? 43.1, and he spins 41.8, and Thyman does improve 37.8, but not by much. Andres next through the or across the line. How much can he improve? 39.0 goes P2. 37.0 cannot beat Thomas, but beats out Clarky for now. OTG across the line, no improvement for him. Next up, we got Blaze. How much can Blaze do? And I think the next one, P7. There you go. Really good on his debut. ILT Thomas. He could take it slow. Will he take it slow? Nope. He still improves by a 10th. 136.8. And that will round out the grid. ILT Thomas, 4th race, 4th pole position. Who can stop this man? That is, I think, the question. This has been absolute domination from the Lithuanian. And, yeah, I think the question really is, who can stop him? Meanwhile, yeah, we don't need the XP there. ILT Thomas on pole position. Andres in P2. That will... I think that is his best qualifying... Yeah, it is. He had 2 9th places in the first 2 races, and then he qualified in P3. So first time on the front row for Andres. Clarky in P3, Honey Badger P4, Ryan 5, Thyman 6, Blaze 7, Best Bob 8, Delima 9, OTG 10, S24 11, Bus Alp 12, Daff Lawrence 13, Vaporeon 14, Trench 15, qualifying ban, Fluffy 16, and Kettle still in 17. The last 2 have been disqualified in qualifying. So, what's the weather going to be for the race? Still rain, or is it going to be dry for now? I mean, oh, it's still raining. Of course it is. Oh, man. Silverstone never disappoints. But yeah, let's talk about the championship standings while we're at it. So ILT Thomas, obviously 75 points out of 3 races. The maximum you can get. Lego Minecraft and Andres are tied for second at 33 points. Jay Clarkey is sitting at 30. Hold on, is that accurate? No, that's not accurate. Andres should have a lot more than 33 points. He had a 3rd place in Brazil. He had a 2nd place in Belgium, and he had a 3rd place in Germany. Did he get disqualified or something? Because I'm really surprised at the standings here. Not so sure whether that's accurate. I think Andres has more than 33 points. He should be on 48, unless he got a massive penalty that put him outside the top 10. Andres should be 2nd in the championship. Jay Clarkey, meanwhile, is 4th. He had only an 8th place. He wasn't inside the top 10 for Brazil. Had an 8th place in Belgium, and then 2nd place in Germany. So he's sitting at 30 points. Then in 5th, we have TTG Honey Badger. So we really have our top 5 in the first 4 places right here. Top 5 in the standings. With Lego Minecraft not being here, obviously, someone has to move up. So we have the top 4 who are here, meaning the 4 of the top 5 in the championship on the first 2 rows. So this seems like a race that won't change all too much, but could be a good opportunity if one of these 4 messes up in the race. And in these conditions, it's quite easy. Then we could see some changes here. All drivers on the intermediates, as you could see for a second there. And the drivers are going to finish their formation lap soon on the Hanger Straight right now. Not all of them, as you can see on the minimap. Some drivers are, in fact, still in Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. But yeah, let's talk about the constructor standings for a second. I'm going to assume that that's accurate. Toro Rosso, Best Bob and Thomas, 85 points. Huge lead over Ferrari in 2nd place, with Jay Clarkey and Delima Super, 42 points. Mercedes in third with Andres and S24. Formerly with Pablo Jogla, but he has decided to leave. They are tied with Renault, Lego Minecraft and Kettle Zillan, and with Racing Point, Vaporeon and Honey Badger. All three teams on 33 points. And to quickly go down the order, Alfa Romeo 18, Haas 14, Williams 11, McLaren 8, and Red Bull Racing no points yet. However, Blaze can change that as we are waiting for the drivers to get ready. And here we are. Getting ready for the start. We have yellow flags in Sector 3. I don't know what's going on there, but here we go. There's the lights. The drivers are ready. We are ready. And we are underway for the British Grand Prix. And it seems like it's a really good start from Andres, who's already pulling alongside Thomas here into turn 1. Andres pulls out of the move last second there. Does everyone make it through nicely? Yes, they do. Into turn 3. Make sure you keep it clean. Yep, that looks good. That looks good so far, I have to say. Yep, everything's going calmly. No, not much contact. Someone spun. Fluffy into the wall. My goodness, how did he end up there? Safety car, S24 and Dylan, and OTG are out. Oh my goodness. Look at that on the left side of the Wellington Straight. How in the world did that happen as Fluffy Cray is struggling in these conditions? Look at the left side here. The two wrecks of Twitch, S24L and OTG, as they are both out of the race. We have our first safety car of the race already, not even one lap into it. And still at Thomas leading ahead of Andres. Honey Badger gaining a position off the start, off of Jay Clarkey. Thyman overtaking Ryan. And Vaporeon and Trench with absolutely rocket-powered starts right there. Vaporeon starting in P14, already up to 8th. Trench starting in 15th, right behind him, already up to 10th. So those two absolutely magical starts. And meanwhile, expect most drivers to obviously stay out for this safety car period. Way too early to go into the pits right now. So, yeah, Thomas obviously having to take it a little bit slower. You have to stick to a delta, even when you're not on the same lap as the safety car. Now that they've crossed the line, they don't have to stick to that delta anymore, as the safety car's out on track. It is waiting for the drivers out of turn 5. So at the start of the Wellington Straight, the safety car will pick up Thomas as the leader and then the rest of the field. There it is on the left side, and now it's getting underway. So, we already have 2 retirements. Very, very unfortunate for both OTG and S24. But we also have still 15 runners around here. OTG leaving the session after that retirement. I'm pretty sure he's not too happy. I don't know what happened between those two. I wish we had replays. Unfortunately, we don't. I would say one of the flaws of F1 2019 is that we don't have such replays. Many other racing games get that done. F1 for some reason doesn't. Meanwhile, someone going down the order? What is happening here? Someone's slow! Hold on. Why were there some changes in position? Guys, this is safety car. Don't overtake under the safety car. I don't understand why drivers do that. I do not get that. The whole idea of the safety car is you go slow, you don't overtake, and, you know, ideally leave some gap to the guy in front and the guy behind. You know, I mean, you can't really influence the gap to the guy behind, but you can influence the gap to the guy in front of you. Leave a little bit of a gap, because if he's braking a little bit earlier, or he's braking where you didn't expect him to, you know, you want to have some clearance that you can avoid him. But safety car obviously staying out for another lap. We will get the notification for the safety car to come in at the beginning of the Hanger Straight. So that's where we have to watch out for it. In the bottom left will be the notification safety car in this lap whenever that happens. And it will be as the leader enters the Hanger Straight. Yeah, see, for example, Honey Badger, I feel like was a little bit too close there to Andres, but as long as nothing happens, it's all fine. But when something happens, everyone's gonna cry, and I hope that it doesn't happen this time around. Meanwhile, since we do have, let's say, a little bit of downtime with the safety car, make sure to hit the subscribe button, make sure to hit the like button, and make sure to follow the Racing Gaming League on Twitter at RGL_2020. That's at RGL, my bad, at RGL_2020. The Racing Gaming League has recently hit 700 followers, so thank you very much to everyone who already follows the Twitter account. Let's make it some more. As it is still pouring here at the Silverstone circuit. Let's hope we get this race underway quickly. Again, hopefully we do get the notification as the safety car comes out of Chapel. All the cars are behind the safety car anyway, so no one's still trying to catch up or something. They're all there. This should work. This should be fine. Let's see, do we get the notification? Yes, we do. There it is. Fantastic stuff. Safety car in this lap. So, at this point, ILRT Thomas is the one who dictates the pace of the rest of the field. ILRT Thomas dictates the pace, and he has to, you know, he is allowed to choose when he restarts the race. Obviously, he cannot overtake the safety car. I think he's going now. I think he's going full. Yeah, he is. Oh, and Kettle Dillon crashed into Bus Alp, gets a 5-second penalty for it. But ILRT Thomas through Stowe already, deciding to floor it. And what a gap he's pulled. That caught Andres and everyone behind him pretty much by surprise. So we are back under green. And Thomas already pulled almost a 1-second gap to the guy behind. What a fantastic move there from the Lithuanian. As we have yellow flag sector 1. Yeah, they're gone again. Let's go on board with Fluffy for a second here. Okay, everything seems fine. Oh, I think we have an attempted overtake here. Nope, everything's still under the same. I think Vaporeon made a move on Blaze. Vaporeon now up to P7. He was in P8. Must have made a move at some point, and he's up to 7th. And he's now trying to pull away from the Red Bull behind and trying to catch back up with both the Williams and the Haas ahead in Ryan and Thyman. Speaking of those two, they were a little bit closer before Corpse. I think Ryan may have made a little mistake there, lost a bit of time there to Thyman. Let's see how they go on here. And Andrew's already over a second behind ILRT Thomas. That's the kind of social distancing you don't want to do right now. Being so far behind Thomas, no slipstream. Obviously no DRS as it is raining. But Thomas with the fastest lap of the race, which not really that surprising considering we did not have a full lap under green flag racing before this one, so yeah, that really comes as a shock to absolutely nobody. But yeah, right now there are not really that many battles out on track. The closest we have maybe is Honey Badger and Clarky, and I mean you see it from that perspective. Clarky is not too close. Oh, sorry, Honey Badger and Andres, my bad. But you see, they're also not that close. So, right now, it is pretty much a struggle fest for everyone. Maybe we can see an overtake here by Kettles Dillon on Bus Alp into... Oh, he makes it. What a great move to the inside. Very, very well done there by Kettles Dillon. That is a P13 for him, as he overtook him into Brooklands at the end of the Wellington Straight. Vaporeon has left the session. His car is still running, so he is allowed to rejoin, but he has apparently disconnected, and we can see from Blaze's perspective if he gets closer. Oh, that is just very, very unfortunate. Bust Up getting a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, you can see behind Vaporeon's name there's a big red X. That means Vaporeon has disconnected. This car is no longer under his control. It's under AI control. That's why it's ghosted as well. Vaporeon joins back in time. No, not in time. They're still inside each other. But the AI of Vaporeon's car gets the better exit out of the final corner. And Vaporeon, will he keep the position? Oh, this is risky by Blaze. But, yeah, Vaporeon, his AI moved out of the way. And he's still ghosted. When is he going to take control of the car again? We have a yellow flag in Sector 3. That is gone again now. Nope, it's not. We have, I think, Bus Alp and Fluffy. Yep, Bus Alp and Fluffy came together. No damage on Bus Alp. And no damage on... Oh, no, there is damage on Fluffy's car, I think. Left side end plate. Let's look closely. Yep, that end plate is missing. Left side end plate damage for Fluffy, but he stays out there. Here's Kettles Dillon. His car is still looking to be in pristine condition. Same can be said for Daff Lawrence. Same can be said... I don't see the left side end plate here for Trench. Oh, I think... Nope, I think it's... Oh, no, it's there. Okay, thank goodness. Delima Super... He's got both end plates. If the end plates are still there, then the front wing is in pristine condition. If not, then something's wrong. That's really how you can tell it for the most part. But meanwhile, you can see the gaps just get bigger and bigger. 2 seconds now between Thomas and Andres, and then it's over a second between Andres and Honey Badger. It's almost a second between Honey Badger and Clarky. It's 8/10 between Clarky and Thyman. 1.3 seconds between Thyman and Ryan. So let's switch this to interval right there so you can see the gaps between the cars. And yeah, there's not that many close battling going on right now, courtesy, I would say, of the rain. However, there is a little bit of strategy here at play. We might see the conditions improve later on. That could happen. We might also not see that. You never know. The drivers have an idea of what's going on, but oh, there's Blaze. Blaze is off. Blaze is off at Farm. Turn 2 may have made the same mistake as I think it was Vaporeon, one of the Racing Points for sure, did in qualifying, and he's now dropped down all the way to P13, losing himself just around 7 positions from that, and well, promoting Vaporeon accidentally back up to P7, which he had before his disconnect. So there goes Vaporeon back up into P7. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. That is for, I think, Fluffy. No, Bus Alp. Sorry, my bad. It's for Bus Alp, who's struggling in these conditions, as you can tell, I think. Spun again. And we do have our first take, really, from the lap 1 incident on the Wellington Straight between OTG and S24. And it's S24 in the chat who says, for my incident, it was on the straight, I was side by side, and he moved across. That is his view. I would like to hear what OTG has to say if he is in the chat. But so far we have one driver's perspective, and certainly this is something for the stewards to figure out, considering that crashes on the straight are not that common and usually have at least one car, well, breaking the rules, really. So, oh, my bad. My bad. I messed up there. Whoops. There you go. That's what I wanted to see. Honey Badger now close to Andres. Yeah, and there we go. S24 adding my opinion, not saying I'm not in the wrong. I have not seen his perspective. I understand that. I can definitely see that. That's why I'm saying we have one driver's perspective. And thank you very much for putting that in the chat. But I also would like to hear OTG's perspective as well. And obviously, if we had replays, that would be fantastic, Codemasters. But, well, apparently replays are not a thing. Anyway, Honey Badger closing in on Andres, who seems to be struggling, as Fluffy and Blaze have been in the pits. Probably for another set of intermediates, I would assume. Sorry, my bad. Here, yeah. Both for another set of intermediate tires. Which, they might be able to make it to the end of the race from here on in. If there are no weather condition changes. Then that's certainly a possibility that they're not going to come in again. Honey Badger looking. He's trying, I think at this point, if you're the guy behind, you're trying to study where the opponent in front of you is doing well and where he's not doing so well. You can see here, for example, Andres doing pretty well on the exit of turn 4 there, and then on to the Wellington Straight. Does have some straight line speed, but seems to be struggling in the corners slightly compared to Honey Badger's. Fluffy gets himself a 3-second time penalty and retires from the session. Sector 2. Went straight on. Oh my goodness. So that is before Beckett's hits the wall. That is a safety car. We're going to see Thomas's perspective. Look to the right side here. Look to the right side. That's where the car is. We can see it again. There, right side, all the way over there is the car. No longer there now. But that is our second safety car because Fluffy has lost the car in Beckett's Chapel. So, second safety car period. A little bit of a moment for everyone to calm down. Question really is who comes into the pits now? Honey Badger tries to play a little bit of a gamble here, and I definitely understand that. Same with Thyman and Ryan. And I'm going to say right now, I think this is the right call. I think Honey Badger may have just made himself the net leader of the race by going into the pits right now and getting onto another set of intermediates. You have to stop once anyway. Oh, they were not ready. His team was ready. That was a visual glitch. My goodness, I thought his team wasn't ready. Unbelievable. But yeah, no, they were ready. Honey Badger is going to leave the pit lane in P7. Thyman P8, Ryan P9, Best Bob P10. Most likely as Kettles Dillon comes. Oh no, Best Bob down to P11. But Kettles Dillon overtakes him. Does not overtake Ryan, so yeah. And everyone, I would assume. Oh no, Ryan goes on to mediums. Ryan is onto the medium. Oh my, I think. Oh boy. It is still raining. I don't know what he was thinking. The issue is, Kettles Dillon cannot overtake him. Unless Ryan spins off or somehow in some other way leaves the track, then Kettles Dillon is allowed to overtake. But as long as Ryan keeps it on track, but this is a huge mistake, I think. Either a huge gamble or a huge mistake. Either way, I don't think it's going to pay off. Again, it's still raining. The rain hasn't stopped. It has gone slightly lighter, but not much, and certainly not enough to warrant a pit stop onto onto dry tires. My bad. What is he going to do? Is he going to come in again? Or is he going to stay out and try to play this off as a gamble? Because I'm really surprised. I don't really know. Let's see. Does he come in? We're going on board. No, he stays out. I think... Okay. At that point, it was deliberate. As Blaze retires from the session. Oh, wow. That is out of Cops. Out of Cops corner. Blaze to the inside. So we're going to look to the right side here of Bus Alp. And we don't see the car anymore. The car has despawned. But, yeah. That is Blaze out of the race as well. So we're down to 13 runners now. And Ryan is closing in on the leaders, on the top 8. And the safety car train. But I'm not so sure about this tire choice for Ryan here. I'm really not so sure about this one. I think this was a bad call. So Ryan has caught up, so we have the top 11 now on the back of the safety car. Again, I think Ryan really challenging himself here with medium tires. The question is the safety car going to come in at the end of this lap? Yes or no? We're going to get the notification right here. No, it stays out for another lap. That actually might help. Ryan with his tires. What is that cheering for? But yeah, Bus Up trying to catch back up to the rest of the field. He's still 39 seconds behind Daff Lawrence. Fluffy leaving the session. Alright, so we should get the notification of the safety car coming in at the end of the second sector of this lap, I would assume. So we will get another 14 laps of green flag running. Hopefully that's assuming that we don't get another safety car, and that is a big assumption considering that's our second of the day already. So we have to be a little bit... we have to exercise a little bit of restraint here in that regard, but we're gonna have 14 laps, that's for sure. Maybe not all on the green flag running, but certainly most of them. As soon as the safety car comes in, most likely, again, it's not guaranteed that the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, but it's very likely. Do we get the notification, yes or no? If so, it should happen any second now. And there it is. Right there. So again, at this point, Thomas controls the tempo of the rest of the field. No overtaking until the finish line. Will Thomas do the same thing again and floor it halfway through Stowe? Last time it caught Andres by surprise. He does the same thing again. He does the same thing again. Starts Stowe at full speed, but this time Andres was prepared. You can see him be a lot closer this time. Oh, wow. Fool me once, shame on me. No, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Andres says, you don't fool me twice. And we are back on the green flag racing right here. And Andres this time significantly closer than he was before. The first one to have slept a little bit on the restart is De Lima Super, and the second Ferrari. He is over a second away from the top 4. So he really struggled there. Honey Badger, meanwhile, he was one of the drivers who pitted. We're going to have to put up the stops right here. He was one of the drivers who pitted. He's, I would say, at this point, effectively the net leader of the race. At this point, Honey Badger is the net leader of the race, as he has pitted and he can go to the end. Thyman net second. I'm not so sure about Bestbot being net third. Right now, yes, but that can still change. He's already 9 seconds behind Thomas, but here's some fighting going on. Honey Badger has to go the long way around, try to get past Trench, and he needs to really get past them quickly. He is on better tires. He's on fresher tires. He needs to get past them quickly. Oh, and there he makes a mistake, and Thyman is through, taking the net lead of the race. Thyman into P7, and the leader of the drivers who have already made their pit stop. Do we have drivers come into the pits now? No, it doesn't seem to be so. Oh, yes, we do. Vaporeon in, and I think a Ferrari follows him. Yep, that is De Lima Super. So we have 2 drivers pitting right at the halfway point of the race. Meanwhile, Thyman now trying to get past Trench. Let's see the weather. It has stopped raining. It has stopped raining. And Ryan went into the pits as well. Vaporeon onto softs. De Lima onto mediums. Ryan, I think, onto another set of mediums maybe. Those 3 getting closer here. Oh, don't put the car inside there, Honey Badger. I don't think that was the smartest call there, but nothing happened. Trench getting overtaken here by Thyman for 4th place. And yeah, Ryan onto mediums, Kettles Dylan onto mediums. Bus Alp will probably go onto dry tires as well. So Thyman now in P4. And that means that all this talk about, oh, net leader, it's pretty much gone out of the window. Because it has dried up. The drivers are going to require the soft or medium tire. The hard is probably not a good choice around here. Soft or medium tire. And they all have to pit. The top 8 all have to pit. Let's switch to Thomas. He's approaching Stowe with Andres and Jay Clarkey. Let's see. Thomas in the pits. Thomas into the pits. Andres follows. Jay Clarkey follows. Thyman also. Honey Badger as well. Trench in. Best Bob stays out. Daff Lawrence. Yep, you best believe he's coming in. DRS now enabled. You saw the message there for a split second in the bottom left. And Daff Lawrence not able to brake in time for the pit lane. So, Best Bob now leading the race, but he still has to pit onto the dry tire. Meaning, as much as this is a 1-2 for Toro Rosso right now, it will not remain to be that way. And Vaporeon goes into P2. Vaporeon overtakes Thomas. Vaporeon effectively into the net lead. And by some margin, if you see that, that's almost 3 seconds. That's 3.5 seconds, in fact. Oh, no, never mind. 3 seconds. We have to, you know, we need... there we go. Because obviously the gap between Best Bob and Vaporeon is going to come down significantly, but the other gaps are all going to be pretty much, yeah, they're all going to be the way they are because they're all on the soft tire now, or medium, all on dry tires. Question is whether the soft runners can make it to the end, or whether the medium runners are actually going to have an advantage towards the end of the race, with now 12 laps remaining towards the end, and make it 11.5. And 2.3 seconds the gap between Vaporeon and Thomas. So the gamble by what are effectively now the 2 stoppers, Thyman, Honey Badger, Ryan. The gamble has not paid off. The gamble has not paid off. The top 6 have not pitted under the safety car. They have, or well, the net top 5, as we will see now. Best Bob, the last one to enter the pit lane. So, Vaporeon, fastest lap. Can Thomas beat it? No, he cannot. He does not beat the lap from Vaporeon. So Vaporeon has increased the gap to Thomas. It may have only been slightly. Best Bob leaves the session. So did he decide to have enough or did he disconnect? That's the question. 34-3 from Vaporeon. Oh yeah, obviously Thomas 57, he was in the pits, so that's why that has changed. That's why he did not have the fastest lap. My bad. My apologies there. Yeah, the gap's coming down. You can see it. 1.8 now. It was 2.3, 2.4 at the start-finish line, and it's coming down. It's coming down quickly. 1.6. Thomas is the absolute dominator here at the Racing Gaming League, and he shows it once again by just eating into that gap that Vaporeon once had, we have to say at this point, once had over Thomas. Down to 1.6 now. And Vaporeon runs a little bit wide. Through Stowe, through the exit of Stowe, through the club section he goes. 10 more laps as soon as Vaporeon crosses the line right now. 10 more laps. 32.7, and that is over a second that Thomas has taken away from Vaporeon. Absolutely massive tempo there by the Toro Rosso driver. That is just remarkable. No DRS yet for Thomas. That needs to be said. Meanwhile, Thyman goes past the Lima Super on the start-finish straight, I think is where that happened. Honey Badger, next one to try and get past. We are going to get back to Thomas once he's close enough for an overtake, but right now Honey Badger, I think, is the one trying to get past DeLima here. Overtake, engage, goes to the inside. Oh, side by side, they touch, they slide, and Honey Badger gets the move at first, but DeLima gets the inside for Luffield and keeps the position for now. However, DeLima now has... Oh, there goes Honey Badger around the outside out of nowhere. Absolute slingshot there. Now gets the position into Cops. And that is Honey Badger into P6. That's the soft tire for you. That's the better grip on the softer compound compared to DeLima Super's mediums. So Honey Badger up to P6. And yeah, DeLima will fall off of the racing point rather quickly. Meanwhile, we go back to Thomas this time. I don't think that was a whole second this lap, but it was pretty close. Yep, it was another 4/10, and he's in DRS range now. First DRS detection point is right before the braking zone, or in the braking zone of turn 3. Right here. And Thomas will have the DRS on the Wellington Straight. Second DRS zone will be the Hangar Straight with the detection point. You can see it on the minimap, that little green dot in Maggots, middle of Maggots, as Best Bob rejoins. He's currently in P11 on the soft, so he could try to gain some positions maybe on Daff Lawrence, maybe on Trench. The gap to Trench is 4.5 seconds. Gap to Daff Lawrence, 3.5. Make that 5 to Trench and 4 to Daff Lawrence. Here goes Thomas. Hangar Straight is when he's going to do it. I'm calling it right now. Hangar Straight. And I think Vaporeon isn't even going to defend the inside. I think he's going to let him. Yep. Not even defending the inside. Thomas goes past. Breezes past. That is a walk in the park. Thomas taking the lead here at lap 18 of 26. We have 8 more laps to go. And Arlo T. Thomas destined to win the 4th race as well as he did the other 3. What an absolute domination by the Lithuanian. Yellow flag sector 2. Thomas, meanwhile, with the fastest lap as well. Not that that means much here at the Racing Gaming League. It's really just a an award for pride, for bragging rights. It does not award an additional point if you do get the fastest lap, no matter whether you're inside the top 10 or not. You do not get an additional point for it. So, RLT Thomas now in the lead. Vaporeon trying to stay with him, but for how long? That is the question, really. Because Thomas has been just that fast, just that quick around here. That sounded beautiful. I just wanted to hear that a little bit and allow you, the viewers, to hear that for a little bit. Engine sounds, I love them. I hope you do too. That was just fantastic. But yeah, Vaporeon still staying with Thomas here. 7/10 the gap, so he will most likely, unless he makes a huge mistake here through the club section or through turns 1 and 2, he will get, it's getting closer to that 1 second window. 9 tenths, 0.9 almost, 0.8. Yeah, Vaporeon will have DRS on the Wellington straight because Thomas did not do too well through that first section of corners, it seems. The slipstream may have helped Vaporeon a little bit here as well, but that's, yep, DRS open for Vaporeon. No chance to overtake. He's too far away for that. But that's not his goal. His goal is just to stay with Thomas for as long as possible. And maybe, just maybe, hope for one of these rare mistakes that Thomas never seems to make. But hey, maybe today's his day. But anyway, let's look at penalties for a second. Thomas has 2 warnings. Oh, wow. Thomas might actually get himself a penalty. Vaporeon has 1 warning from lap 1, but I'm pretty sure that is a collision warning, so no corner cut warnings at all for Vaporeon. Let's look at Thomas's. They were both rather late here. Let's see where it is. There it is. That is exceeding track limits, and that is, yep. 2 corner cut warnings for ILRT Thomas. If he gets 1 more, all Vaporeon needs to do is if you have yellow flags in sector 2. That is for Daff Lawrence. Daff Lawrence in Luffield. On the exit of Luffield must have messed it up there. And he drops down to P11. But yeah, if somehow Thomas gets himself 1 more warning, this race is Vaporeon's for the taking. We have another yellow flag in sector 2. That is Daff Lawrence again. Now exit of Cops. We're not going to switch him. Loses another position to Kettles Dylan. And Honey Badger goes into the pits. That is surprising to say the least. I thought all drivers were going to make it to the end. Honey Badger, I don't think it's a tire issue, as he does switch tires, obviously, but there's a front wing change. Front wing change for Honey Badger. Must have damaged his front wing somewhere. Gets it changed, so that is the reason why he went into the pits. And not so sure that, I mean, he must have lost a huge chunk of his front wing to justify that. If it was just the end plate, I think he would have been better just staying out. With only 6 laps left, he just cost himself around 30 seconds just from that pit stop. So unless he lost around 5 seconds a lap from missing that front wing, I don't think that was a smart call. But either way, his teammate Vaporeon still close to Thomas. Thomas, however, still on 2 warnings. Third one, he gets a 3-second time penalty. That 3-second time penalty will mean that Vaporeon would take the win on penalties because he has not a single track extension, track limit warning. Thomas has 2, as I said. 5 more laps. Can Thomas keep it clean? We're going to switch to Thomas, my bad. Press the wrong button there. And Vaporeon he doesn't let off. He's like a terrier. He just stays tied to Thomas. He's biting into his leg and just not letting off. Just staying there within a second, using the DRS to his advantage and trying to put some pressure onto the dominator of the season so far in RLT Thomas. 4.5 more laps. One more mistake from Thomas. One more track extension. Once more going too wide. Or turning into a corner too early. And that is a 3-second time penalty for Thomas. And that is probably the race win gone. As they go through Stowe. If Thomas does get a penalty, we will get the notification in the bottom left. It will say RLT Thomas 3-second penalty, multiple warnings exceeding track limits. So far this hasn't happened yet. Ryan meanwhile goes past De Lima. Super. Oh, into Stowe. Around the outside. What a move from the Williams there. And De Lima trying to avoid Ryan there. Yep, that's P6 for Ryan, P7 for De Lima Super. We go back to Vaporian and Thomas. My god, this is getting close. Vaporian also on 1 lap older tires. It's not much of a difference, but it certainly is a difference. So, really, really surprised that he can hang with that absolute alien that is RLT Thomas. Meanwhile, I think we had Best Bob with a yellow flag in Sector 3 for messing up the club section. Seems like he didn't lose a position, but he lost a whole lot of time there to Trench and everyone ahead. And also the gap to Kettles Dillon has come down to now 2.5 seconds. But this is the race. This is the fight for the lead. This is the fight for the win of this race. Meanwhile, if you are enjoying this battle between Thomas and Vaporian, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like button as well while you're at it. And make sure to follow follow the Racing Gaming League on Twitter. It's at RGL_2020. 3 laps to go. Vaporian still close. Thomas still on 2 warnings. That is Ryan 55 with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That is not RLT Thomas. Thomas is still good. He's still, I think as SpongeBob would say, a good noodle. Vaporian, did he get any warnings? No. Andres, what is his situation right now? 2 warnings as well. Clarkey, 2 warnings. Thyman, 1 warning. Ryan, 2 penalties. Oh, that was his second. De Lima, 1 penalty. Trench, 1 penalty. Best Bob, no penalties. Honey Badger, 1 penalty. Kettles Dillon, the 5-second time penalty he got here, he served at the pit stop, so no penalties for him. Daff Lawrence, 8 seconds. He did not serve that 5-second time penalty. No, he did not. He did not. And then we have Bus Alp. 3, 6, 9, 14, 17 seconds. My goodness. Poor Bus Alp. Honey Badger fastest lap, meanwhile. All the way down in P10. Thomas and Vaporian. 2 more laps. Penultimate lap of this race. And Thomas and Vaporian still close. Still really, really close. Daff Lawrence getting a 3-second time penalty. That's pretty much going to be non-consequential. That's not going to matter in the end. What matters is whether Thomas gets one or whether he can keep it clean for the rest of this race. And when I say rest of this race, again, it's really less than 2 laps. It's less, at this point, it's less than 10 kilometers around here. It wasn't at the start of the lap, but right now it's less than 10 kilometers from this point on. Thomas and Vaporian. Best Bob getting a penalty. That's the right Toro Rosso to get a penalty. The other one, currently in the lead, RLT Thomas, he must not get one if he wants to get the win here and make it a 4 out of 4 streak. Vaporian starting to struggle a little bit. Gap has increased to 8 tenths. Gap has increased to 8/10. It's coming down again, obviously, on the hanger straight with DRS. Oh, they're both running wide there. But the game allows it. Did we miss a penalty for Thomas? No, we did not. We did not. He's still fine. Bus Alp got himself a 3-second time penalty, but not Thomas. Final lap of the race. 5.9 kilometers for Thomas to race and not get a penalty. Not get a single track limit warning. If he can do it, he's gonna make it 4 out of 4. If he does get a penalty, that will be finally a second race winner this season. Someone not named Thomas. And it would be Vaporeon. Through Cops one more time. That's a tricky one. If you run too wide here, no, he keeps it easily within the lines. All 4 wheels within the lines. You're allowed to run wide where you can only have 2 wheels inside, or 2 tires inside the white lines. Oh, Vaporeon! Vaporeon's close enough for an overtake. Thomas played it too safely. Yellow flag in Sector 3. Is Vaporeon even allowed to overtake? Vaporeon round the outside. Vaporeon takes the lead on the final lap on the 3rd last corner. Thomas to the inside. It's not there. It's not there. Vaporeon. Through the glove section, Vaporeon takes victory here. No, Thomas does. Vaporeon got himself 6 seconds worth of penalties? Where did he get that from? When and where did he get 6 seconds worth of penalties from? I don't see any. What is going on? That is surprising. I do not understand this. But ILT Thomas makes it 4 out of 4. Kept it clean. Leaves the session. Where did the 6 seconds come from? Because I don't see them. That caught me very much by surprise here. I thought Vaporeon had won. In fact, he's only down to P3. Andres gets himself a 2nd place for keeping it clean. Vaporeon down to 3rd. Jay Clarkey 4th. Thyman 5th. Ryan 6th. Trench 7th. Delima Super 8th. Honey Badger will finish in P9. Does he get a position off of Delima? No. But he does get the fastest lap. Not that that's a point. And then Kettles Dylan will finish in P10. Daft Lawrence 11th. Bus Alp 12th. Bus Alp will be 13th because Best Bob doesn't have that many penalties. But the question is, will Best Bob get him on track? Final fight here, not for a point. Best Bob sending it to the inside. And Bus Alp struggling there. Maybe Best Bob gets 11th. No, he does not. Had enough penalties as well. And Bus Alp will be the last one. But it is Eiler T. Thomas. 4 out of 4. And I don't think I need to say much more. There he is. On the top step of the podium once more. Eiler T. Thomas lifting that trophy. Winning the British Grand Prix. And again, making it 4 out of 4. What could have been? Vaporeon could have won his home race here in Britain. At the end, only a 3rd place after getting 6 seconds penalties. There we have it. Yeah, it doesn't show any penalties for me. You can see here, it lights up the penalties for everyone else, but not for Vaporeon. But for some reason, he did have 6 seconds worth of penalties. But there's your result. Thomas, Andres, Vaporeon. That's your podium. Jay Clarkey with a really good 4th place. Thyman 5th. Ryan 6th. Trench 7. Delima 8. Honey Badger 9. Fastest lap goes to him as well. Kettle's still in 10. Daft Lawrence 11. Best Bob 12. Bus Alp 13. Blaze, Fluffy, OTG, and S24 out of the race. And if I had to give driver of the day to someone, I think it would still have to be Vaporeon. Podium, and he started. That's what you have to remember. from P14. That's the 4th last place on the grid. He overtook everyone apart from the 3 drivers who started behind him and the 2 drivers who on penalties finished in front of him. And in fact, he did overtake both Andres and Thomas on track. So he finished first. It's only that he had penalties, which ultimately led to him finishing 3rd after penalties. But on track, he was first. However, that has been the British Grand Prix here at the Racing Gaming League. Next week, we will be in Canada for the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. And it's going to be an interesting race, a much shorter track, a fun track. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to follow the Racing Gaming League on Twitter. It's at RGL_2020. It's very easy to find. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Austin Smith, and goodbye.